when you initially started YouTube, was it to be a love and marriage Huntsville content creator, or just a content creator in general?
Just a content creator in general.
So how did you find Love and Marriage Huntsville?
So I had been watching Love and Marriage Huntsville from season 1, episode 1, and I had been in the Facebook groups. Yes, I was in the Facebook groups, and I was like, okay, I didn't even know there was YouTube channels dedicated to Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I came on social media, and I was talking about, I did a video on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and then I did a video going off on Martell Holt. It was something he did, and I made a video checking him about it. And then next thing I know, I saw some people commenting, "Oh, you sound like this YouTube. You should follow this person's channel." And I was like, "There's people that cover Love and Marriage Huntsville." I thought it was such a tiny show. So then I found them, and then people liked my Love and Marriage Huntsville videos, so I started making them, and I was making other things, but I don't know. I kind of felt like my other videos wasn't getting watched as much. So I was like, okay, I'll just do Love and Marriage Huntsville. I guess I'll do the reviews on it, and that's how it kind of happened.
Right. I think it's kind of like the same for me, where, well, I was doing, my goal was always to do like relationship tarot, because I have done that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say I got bored with it, but you kind of plateau, because at least me, I plateau when things aren't growing around me. And in certain communities, people they don't like to change. They just want to keep the same thing. And I can't function like that. Like that, it stifles me. And so I did that for a while, and then I left and went to other spaces. But tarot was always like in my heart. And so I was like, you know what? I wanna do a celebrity relationship channel. That way I don't have to focus on an individual. I don't have to like sell hope to women, because like a lot of the romance tarot channels are about like romanticizing things like pain and longing, and I just don't believe in that, you know what I mean? And telling you he's coming back. And I believe in more like a realistic, like, teach a woman how she got into the mind frame she did, and if she unravels that, then she can pretty much get whatever she wants. She doesn't have to sit around and let somebody else dictate it for her. And so I was like, okay, well, if I do the relationship tarot, the celebrity tarot, I can still infuse that, but I don't have to be on a subject. I can look at these people relationship and just kind of break it down through the tarot. You know what I mean? And I was just doing regular relationship content. And then I did a video on Latisha and Marcel. I didn't even know they were no hot button topic. I didn't know people hated them. I didn't know that there was a sector for Love and Marriage Huntsville. I don't watch the show. It was just a random video in the timeline, and I didn't even watch the video. Kind of searching around for couples. And I made the video, and lo and behold, it must have been a video out of the Love and Marriage Huntsville sector. And so they just started coming, and that's where I was getting like the most views. And when I would do other videos, they weren't being like watched as much. And so I was like making a decision, like, should I just focus on this and just do this? And so I just started looking around, surveying the space, like, do I really think I could fit in here? And I was like, well, okay, fuck it, let's try it,
Yeah. And I also felt like kind of like, how like you have like the Bravo sector. I feel like you have some people in the Bravo sector that's been there from the beginning. And they're like known as like, oh, this the Bravo sector. And I felt like because Love and Marriage Huntsville was so small, and even though me and you, we came after, we were still like at the beginning tail end, because it's not like a cemented show, so to speak. And I thought that maybe if it took off and became big, we would be one of those me per se would be one of those people that say, oh, that's one of the original Love and Marriage Huntsville commentators, because I thought it was going to spin off to other franchises, but things just fell by the wayside.
Yeah. So how long have you been creating videos for Love and Marriage Huntsville?
It's been about 6 months now. Only 6 months.
Oh, so you're new to the sector.
I'm new.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But you're not new to Love and Marriage Huntsville.
Correct. I was
You've been watching Huntsville for some years and following on Facebook groups, but you just recently started to speak out on YouTube video style.
Correct.
Okay. So when you initially started watching Love and Marriage Huntsville, who was the character that you gravitated towards the most?
It was crazy enough. It was Latisha.
Okay. And why?
Latisha reminded, because you can still tell now as a adult that I have a speech impediment. So when I was a child and I had a speech impediment, and throughout when I was in school, I got bullied, and I was always told, "You're not smart enough. You'll never make it. You'll never be this. You'll never be that." So as I grew up and I got a bachelor's degree, then a master's degree, people were shocked, like, "Oh my God, that skinny girl from the hood." And Tisha, I felt like to see her have a bachelor's degree, to see her married with children, that said a lot to me. I was like, she overcame what people thought she could never have. A lot of the coded language in the beginning was picking at her because of the way she spoke, picking at her because of how her mother Wanda was. But Tisha, I felt like I could kind of relate to her as far as like the speech impediment, and then I was so proud to see her, like myself, go on to pursue higher education. Then she got married and had kids. I do want kids and want to get married in the future, so I gravitated towards that. And I root for the underdogs. I felt like people were not banking on Tisha being anything special on the show. They wanted her to be a flunky, so to speak, to Kimmy, to Melody. So I liked Tisha, and I also liked that she was a stay-at-home mom. But if she wanted to, she can go and work. And I liked her husband because he was funny. Marceau is funny.
Yeah, he is a little sarcastic, little prick.
He is though, but he's funny.
Now, a lot of people I've heard didn't like the way that Tisha was representing Black women because of the way she allowed Marceau to treat her. What do you think about the relationship dynamics between Latisha and Marceau?
Oh, I'm gonna be real here with you. For one, and I'm not gonna be long with it, but for one, this is my opinion. The relationship dynamic between Tisha and her husband is what is common in the Black community. I grew up in the hood, and I'm telling you, a lot of Black women, they will be a Tisha. What I noticed about the Black community is that a lot of people say one thing on social media, but in real life, it's totally different. Tisha is no different from most Black women. Yes, it's not right for the
when you say not different from most Black women, from which angle?
From me growing up in the hood, I'm talking from like urban hood Black women. Like, yes, a lot of Black men don't work, and a lot of Black women take care of the home. But I feel like if given the chance, not every woman, there's some women that's not like that, because I'm not like that. I'm very much a Scorpio. But given the chance, I feel like someone would love to relax in their femininity, rather than have to. Because I think some people take charge because they have to, not because they want to.
And so you feel like is Tisha the person that you consider to be relaxed in her femininity?
Yes, I do. I feel like Tisha only wants to be this. I want to work, because when you go back and look at season 1, episode 1, Tisha had no problem being a stay-at-home mom, right? I think she put on just to have a storyline, but I feel like people comparing her to Kimmy and Melody made her feel insecure with being a stay-at-home mom. When her and her husband from the very beginning, when they got together, and yes, you do change throughout a marriage, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the criticism and her being compared to other women made her feel insecure with the fact that she has a bachelor's degree, but she's a stay-at-home mom while her husband works. But I feel like she was okay with that until she got on TV, until the criticism. And I feel like for her husband, yes, I do feel like Marceau has misogynistic tendencies. I'm not gonna lie, like that pisses me off when he said his wife came from the wrong side of the tracks. But their marriage,
but he could be chauvinist, because misogyny is a deep hatred for women, whereas chauvinism is more gender supremacy. You know what I mean? So a lot of men, they don't hate women, they just think that men are better. But it's not like misogyny is like a real deep, mental feeling and process.
So it can, taught me something. Okay.
Well, but also some women, when they want to go outside the home to work, or I don't think necessarily it's always motivated by your friends or whatever. Some women just want equity in their relationship, and based on what I was seeing with Latisha and Marceau, because she wasn't bringing nothing to the table, he pretty much had the final say on everything. And so she went out to work and create more of a 50-50 situation so that she could have more of a say-so and not have to be under his thumb as far as like the direction and leadership of their family or their businesses. So what do you think about that?
I agree with that point. I feel like as seasons went on, I think in the beginning that is how I saw it, but as season went on, I saw the way she would talk when she would say things like you don't ask me my opinion. You just do this and that. So I could tell that she didn't like the fact that he acted like it was his show and he forgot about her, like as if she didn't exist, as if she was one of the kids, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, do you remember like when Gabrielle Union, she came out and said like that she was 50-50 with Dwayne Wade, and then all the black women were like dragging her like, why would you be 50-50 and and we want to be taken care of and you a mammy and all these things. But if you listen to her talk, she pretty much said like, I want to be able to have some say so. And then you get into these situations where it's like a Diddy and a Cassie.
Yep.
And this man is just acting a whole plumb fool. You know what I mean? Or even for what a Melody and Martell were initially trying to portray, which is him being a provider and a great husband. Her being actively working and contributing is what made them a power couple versus the optics of Latisha and Marcel.
Yeah, I agree. I mean?
So some women want to work so that they can have, power in their relationship.
I see that. I see that. And I feel like the relationship is it's not something that I would sign up for because I'm a Scorpio, and I think that me growing up in the hood and me working hard, I just can never see myself letting a man take the full lead over me, like having to say so and everything. I do recognize there's a time where you let a man take the lead, but I want a 50-50 relationship, right? And I also don't want to be in a relationship to where a man holds all the cards because he can pull them bitches from up under me, like the rug or whatever.
Right.
And I just feel like their relationship is not as bad as people make it seem. I feel like people I'm just being real. Some people want to beat down everybody's relationship, thinking everybody's relationship is going to mirror Melody's and Martell's, and everybody's relationship is different.
Yeah. I think that their relationship is the least common dynamic for Black people outside of the breakup and the toxicity.
Yes.
But it is the least common for the everyday Black person to be a power couple, unless you see that representation in media and some of these TV shows and things like that. But if you just walk around your everyday life, that's not the setup.
You're right. 100%.
Yeah.
Some people come from an unrealistic viewpoint. Yep.
So what was your initial first impression of Melody?
Oof. And I told him this on my channel. It's still on my channel too. My first impression of Melody is I felt like she was weak for her husband. I felt like at first I thought she was weak, but I realized that a lot of her being weak actually came from her childhood trauma of her not growing up with a father in the home. So she wanted to have that for her children, but she also wanted to, it was the image too, like not wanting to let that go of we're married, we're a power couple. I also felt like she was.
So do you feel that she was more invested in the image of success than the actual success of her relationship, or do you think that they kind of worked hand in hand for her?
They worked hand in hand.
Okay.
Hand in hand. And I felt like she was into herself. When I first watched the show, her and Martell was my least favorite couple. I felt like Martell was arrogant, an a-hole. Melody was arrogant, don't get me wrong. I felt like Melody and Martell was very much into their looks. They were like Barbie and Ken. So much into their looks. And I felt like they're both, it's weird to say this, they're not the same, but they share common. And you did a video that actually put it in perspective to me when you did it, like a dark empath and a narcissist. That video, I think you shared a video of it, and it dawned on me. Yes, that is what the both of them were to me. But I feel like Martell is like he's very deranged. Like the man is crazy. He's dangerous. Whereas I don't feel like Melody is dangerous. I feel like because of her childhood trauma and her growing up as an only child, she likes to take center stage, and it's a lack of something she did get in childhood, where all eyes are on her. And she used, like how I did, I feel that in Melody, she used her intelligence and her book smart to get out of her hometown. That was always her way out, and that's what she leads with. I'm smart and I'm pretty.
Okay, so do you feel like that the couple dynamic between her and Martell made her or them more toxic versus her by herself? Because what I'm hearing a lot of people is they say things like, oh, I couldn't stand Melody in season 1, 2, whatever. But then eventually they liked her. Do you think that has something to do with her having a man, or her having like that duo, like that person that's like a writer, and then when she was by herself, it was like, okay, now, like, do you think that played a part in any way into why people didn't like her, because she was side by side with a man who was acting just like her?
Ooh, okay. I think for me, I can't. I'm gonna speak not out of both sides of my neck, but I'm gonna speak for me. I'm gonna speak for what I think. What you're talking about. For me, I didn't like Melody because her and Martell together, to me, they were toxic. When people say things like together they were a power couple, they were a power couple, but they were also toxic together.
When you say toxic, do you mean amongst each other, or as far as what they put out towards others?
What they put out, both. Yeah, what they put. No, not both, really. Because I don't feel like Melody was toxic towards Martell. I feel like she covered for Martell a lot. Because you see her leaving him unveiled how inadequate he is on so many levels. I feel like them together, I don't feel like they were nice towards the Scotts in the first couple seasons. If you go back and watch, they were a-holes. Like, we're Bobby and Ken, we're the it couple, everybody likes us, we're the cute couple, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like they were just, the energy they gave off was egotistic and into themselves. And when we walk into a room, everybody look at us, everybody bow down to us. That's what it gave. And I don't think that's what bothered me. What also bothered me is the way she allowed that man to talk to her and drag her through the mud. I did not like that. And I felt like, are you doing this, letting him do this to you because of an image? And your childhood trauma? Like, you have to let this go. Like, this is, I can't hear you say you're a power couple, you are the host, but you letting this man disrespect you, letting his mistress disrespect you. Once she left Martell, I saw the strength in Melody. I saw the vulnerability in her, something that I had not seen before, because before I did not view Melody as a woman that had that soft side. I viewed her as this, she's smart, she's beautiful, but she keeps everybody at a distance. But her leaving Martell, that showed me that she is vulnerable, that she can be, and that there is areas in her life that I can relate to her at. And I don't have to relate to you exactly.
Right, but okay, so yeah. but when they were together, you perceive them as pretty much a narcissistic couple, right? And who just pretty much demean their friends, wanted to downplay everybody else, and everybody was just there to, whatever. I don't want to put too much on it, but from what you're describing, it's like, okay, they were a narcissistic couple, but then when they not became a couple, you're saying that then you felt like, okay, she wasn't the real narcissist he was. She was just feeding off of his energy.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And also, he humbled her in a way with everything that went on. Like, she got publicly embarrassed, so that humbled Melody's. She was no more that person that tried to throw her marriage in people's face. She was no longer that person that tried to.
Well, because she didn't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So when they were a couple, what are some of the things that you saw narcissistic things that you saw Martell do towards others?
Oh, like, we would tell the Scotts, like, if you go back and look at the earlier season, we would tell the Scotts that they needed him. Yeah, like, y'all need me. Me and Melody got this for y'all. Like, saying that he makes stuff move, and he's that dude. Like, and he would do that to his friends, and he would talk like disrespectful to their wives in front of them, like, or he would just create situations where he'll have people tell people one thing and tell person another, and have them beefed up with each other. That's some of the narcissistic things he would do.
Okay. And what are some of the narcissistic things that you saw Melody do towards others while she was married to Martell?
I would see Melody, like, Martell would tell her something, and she would know it's bullshit. Like, I will always believe she knew when he came to her with Marsu have 20 girlfriends. What does that matter? And I felt like her going to go tell Tisha and say, leave your kids at home with the babysitter and pull up to your husband at the bar. That was narcissistic. That was a way to bring her down, right? And then also when Melody would go to her, like she would let her fans, not her, at the beginning she didn't have that many fans, but she would also tire around where the hosts, y'all need us, my husband helped your husband do this, we helped y'all do that, you know, as a way that like people needed them, like we're better.
If what they were saying was true, would they still be considered narcissistic?
Yes, in my opinion, you know, maybe I'm going to tell you the truth. Yes, because I feel like if you do something out of the kindness of your heart, you don't have to throw it in somebody's face, right? Like to throw it in somebody's face and act like they need you. I did all this for you. And they did it a lot. It wasn't just like a one-time thing. Like they did it because someone pissed them off. They would do it.
But what about the people who you have helped and they choose to discount the value that they've brought to your life? Then what?
You have every right to call that out. Every right. If you've done stuff to people and they don't acknowledge you or they forget what you've done for them, yeah, I believe you should bring it to their attention.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You perceive Martell as narcissistic based on the things we just discussed. Did you see any of that in Marceau?
Ooh, so Marceau, no, I didn't. I viewed him as just being an a-hole and thinking that, no, I'm a man because he got a penis between his legs. That means something. And him leading with, I got my builder's license, I got this and that. I viewed him as a man who had low self-esteem. It's crazy to say that, but I viewed him from watching it that he was funny, he was goofy, but he had low self-esteem.
So why do you think that Martell was perceived as a narcissist versus Marceau?
Because Martell is attractive, and I think Martell knows. Marceau, I mean, he's not ugly, but Martell is what people would consider, you know, you're attractive. And because Martell knows he's attractive, he can get away with stuff that Marceau is not going to be able to get away with because he's not as attractive as Martell.
So do you think there were some biases towards Melody and Martell strictly because of their attractiveness?
Mm-hmm.
And so even though they could be displaying the same exact behavior as other couples, because they are attractive, they could be perceived in one light versus, say, Latisha and Marceau?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So initially you were liking Latisha, and then you were, I won't say liking her, you were relating to her story. Mm-hmm. And then you also, at the same time, were viewing couples like Melody and Martell as like, okay, you guys are just really superficial, up in your head, think you're all that, blah, blah, blah. Now, what season, around what time, or what was that aha moment where you fell in love with Melody?
It was season 3 and 4. Season 3 and 4.
Okay. Tell me about it.
So that season with Melody, I liked when she checked, I forgot which season, it's either season 3 or 4, where she checked Marceau about his language towards his wife, when she was saying like, no, because Tisha was telling her like, I want to go work, and Marceau and everybody was trying to say Tisha ain't gonna do it or something like that. They didn't say that exact word, but some along those lines. And Melody was like, no, she can do it. She can do whatever she put her mind to. In that moment, Melody reminded me of one of my ex-best friends I had, that we were around each other. My friend was a lot like Melody. What people write as success, like you look a certain way, you speak in a certain way, you have this and that. Where a person like me, I'm loud. Sometimes I speak in Ebonics, but she always, a part of who I am today is not just because of my grandmother, because she encouraged me like, yes, you can do it. Yes, you have this. And sometimes all a person needs is for you to build them up. And when I saw that Melody did have that in her to pick a woman up and tell her, yes, you can do it. Don't let the naysayer say anything. That really said to me, okay, there's another side of Melody. You know what I'm saying? There's another side of her, and she's growing on me. So that was one of the defining moments. Another defining moment is her just actually leaving Martell's ass and not putting up with emotional abuse. That was another thing for me. And to see her just be honest. I felt like before, Melody wasn't as honest. She would try to put on because she didn't want the full truth to be revealed. Like, yes, she let us in a little bit with the cheating, but she wasn't 100% honest. And I felt like in season 3 and 4, we got the honest side of Melody. She was starting to tell the truth, and she let go of like the whole wall up and the image this, the image that.
Oh, okay. So, do you think that as a whole, that Black women are only accepted when they're falling apart? Or do you think that Black women are only humbled or act humble towards other when they are broken down?
Ooh, you getting deep now. Ooh, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't gonna lie to you. No, we talking. I'm gonna be honest. From my perspective, it wasn't. I don't like the way Melody marriage came about. Right. I don't like that. I do wish Martell was a different man and he would have stopped cheating and they could have been this power couple. But I still wish she would not have came off so a stick in her ass, like a stick up her ass, basically. But in the same breath, I do feel like Melody, and I said this, I said it on my channel, and I don't take nothing back. I feel like Melody did get a lot of fans because her life fell apart. I will. I
Mm.
do feel like some people do support her genuinely like me because we end up liking her. But I think a lot of people are not honest about the fact that they did not like Melody in season 1 and 2 and 3. But when her life fell apart and she had like a humbling moment, I feel like a lot of people came around. And maybe I'm guilty of a little bit of it, but not to a full extent. Like I still hate that kids growing up in a broken home, but I do feel like, if I'm gonna be real with you, yes, a lot of people can only relate to Black women. You see Tyler Perry movies sell out, Oprah Winfrey shows. People do not. It's hard to sell the Black woman she loves herself, she intelligent, she got everything going on. People mostly take in the Black woman that's down on her luck.
Yeah, I think the misunderstanding is that people don't understand like an ego is a guard. You know what I mean? So a lot of people think like when you have your guard up that you act like Destiny, but that's only one version of having your guard up where you're just closed off, don't want to share yourself. But the other way to have your guard up is to have have an ego about yourself and act like you're untouchable and nothing can faze you, or people are beneath you, or you don't want to open up but then because she has good looks, people may feel snubbed by her, but really it's just her expression of like having some hurt in her life and her being guarded because of that. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like that thing where you can be personable but not personal. You know what I mean? So because she's personable, they feel entitled to more from her than what she's giving, and because seems to have it all, then you know what I mean?
I agree.
They don't recognize her as having her guard up. They think like, well, your guard's not up because you're warm with me, so you must just think you're all that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep,
And it's like, no, I'm hurt and I'm protecting myself because I'm vulnerable. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you took the time to get close to her in any authentic way, then maybe they would have been exposed to what you think you saw in the later seasons. You know what I mean?
Yep, and I agree with you, because even now I'm able to say and look at Melody and say, when people say, when she said you got to be in the black or the white, the black or the white area, I can tell now that people say, oh, when Destiny says, oh, Melody pushed me away, or when Stormy says she pushed me away, and I think just like y'all, she been through a lot. Like you can't expect nobody to go through what she's been through and just be as just easily open and let anybody come in, and because she been hurt before and she gave people a chance after chance after chance. Sometimes when you do one thing, it's like, okay, goodbye. That's how I've been like that in my life. So I get exactly where you're coming from.
Okay, so Latisha is no longer your favorite, or is she still your favorite?
No longer.
Okay, and why not?
And I know this is wrong for me to say, but I feel like for me, when someone lets their jealousy take over and you can see it, that's where you lose me. The first thing that lost me with Tisha is that the way her mother acted. And I could be around and say, yes, you cannot control your parents to a certain extent, but there are certain things you can control. And I just would never believe the things that Wanda has said and did, that it's just Wanda. Yes, Wanda is jealous and envious on her own, but I feel like in a way, if you don't address it, you blessing it. And when her mother did what she did about Melody's child, because Wanda did that to further it's like she joined forces with Martell when he was emotionally abusing his ex-wife, and you join forces with him, and you start regurgitating his toxic rhetoric of trying to ruin this woman's reputation. And Tisha didn't say nothing about it. That really pissed me off. And then on top of that, like I be watching. Like I'm a person, I watch stuff. I don't just say stuff. So Wanda has a friend named Betty, right? Latisha took pictures with Betty and everything. She cool with, not Betty, I'm sorry, Peggy, her name, Peggy. So Tisha is cool with Peggy, take pictures with Peggy, and then Peggy started ordering coleslaw clothes or whatever, right? And Melody don't even know Peggy like that. Peggy just wanna be cool with Wanda, do what her friend want, right? So she going along with the crowd. So that's the second thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, what is going on? Then when I saw Tisha in the Facebook groups and people would make like snark remarks about Melody, saying that Melody trying to destroy Tisha's marriage, and Melody jealous of Tisha, and Tisha would like the comments, and Tisha would, I just felt like she was hot. She wasn't being authentic. Like, if you got a problem with that lady, just say it. But allowing your mama and your fans to speak for you, that's whack to me. Especially when
you don't think that was happening in the initial seasons. This was as time went on.
No, I don't think. I think in the initial seasons, Tisha was very. She was very naive to a lot of things. She came off Tisha was sweet. Like, she was just on the show, just doing her. Yes, at times she brought up the marriage, but she on a TV show. The producers was telling her to do that. That wasn't something she was doing on her own. When people bring that up, I'm like, no, I don't think Latisha was bringing that up to try to whack it to Melody. And people tell the story incorrectly. When Tisha brought up Martell and his mistress having matching BMWs, that was after Melody came to her with, pull up to your husband at the bar and leave the kids with a nanny, and you'll see him cheating with 20 women. Yeah.
But how come like when Latisha was in the first season, like, just struggling through her speech impediment, being kind of discounted for being from the other side of the tracks or not talking properly, then what she was doing was not perceived as malicious. But then when she finally started to gain her status, now her actions are considered malicious. Don't you think that's consistent with Melody in reverse? Like, for instance, you didn't have a taste for Melody when she was at the top, but you gravitated towards her when she was at the bottom. You had a taste for Tisha when she was at the bottom, but then began to be turned off from her when she started to rise to the top, which is ultimately what you were relating to in her, like her being an overcomer, this and a third. But then when she finally overcomes and becomes that, it's like, now I don't have a taste for that anymore. You know what I mean? So do you think at some point that as Black women, we have to acknowledge that in ourselves, or do you feel like you just have a legitimate reason not to like Tisha?
I think I have a legitimate reason, because I was rooting for her to get to, like, I'm gonna be real.
But when she got there, you didn't like her no more.
It's because it's the antics she did off. Okay, let me say this way. It was I felt like Tisha was doing. Am I using the word correctly? Like, she was bullying, but not in your face bullying, if that makes sense.
No. I think you're using the words correctly, but I think what I'm challenging is how you perceived her actions in season 1 when you liked her. When you were like, no, she didn't do that on purpose. She did that because of this, and this came out because of this. But when she got to the top, because of her seeming more capable or, taking care of herself, now you look at it like, now you see her actions differently. You get what I'm saying?
Now I get what you're saying. Ooh, that's deep. Because now I'm questioning myself. Like, damn, if I the type of person that only
because if you think about it, just as Black women, like, we always and then think about how as a woman we would weaponize our vulnerability, because that's the only way to gain any type of acceptance or support for how we choose to move.